I'm Jono Buchanan, and in this video we're going to explore some of the more out there things that you can do with flex editing in Logic Pro. What I've done is to import a drum loop from the Apple Loops library, and a lot of people understandably sort of think, well, you know, that audio content's available to every single Logic user, and so I'm sort of more tempted to stay away from it. The way that I've always thought about the Apple Loops library is that effectively it's kind of like an adventure playground for audio processing. Provided you're prepared to get your hands a bit dirty, there are all kinds of really interesting things that you can do with this extraordinary array of audio information that is provided within the library. Maybe using it straight isn't the most interesting thing you can do, but the moment you actually get in to start thinking about playing around with it in various ways, good things can come from that process. And to have a look exactly what I mean, what we're going to do is to open up the Flex editor within Logic, which is here. And then what we're going to do is to explore some of the algorithms that exist within here. Now, if we slice or use the rhythmic algorithms that are within the program here, that's a useful way of us being able to sort of chop drums up and move individual hits around, but it will retain a sense of the original audio file. What I want to do is to kind of get away from that a little bit. So the first thing I'm going to do is to use the speed effects instead. Imagine, if you will, for a moment, that this audio file has been recorded onto tape, and that what I want to do is to speed up or slow down sections of it to move the hits around in order to have the hits fall where I want. If I was doing that on tape, I'd have to have a constant way of being able to adjust the speed of that tape, speeding up to get to hits if they were moving closer together, and slowing down dramatically if suddenly the hits were further apart. So effectively, by using the speed algorithm, what I've got a chance to do is to start imagining what that might sound like, introducing kind of pitch variation to individual drum hits. I'll show you what I mean. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a really extreme warp effect here by putting a point here to tie this particular hit, and I'm going to put another point here to tie this one, and one here as well. And having done that, I'm going to take the one in the middle and I'm going to drag it out a long way from its original position. I'm going to put it on this semiquaver here. What I'm then going to do is to take the original one over here on the left, and I'm going to drag it back so that it's a whole beat earlier. Let's hear what that sounds like. Okay, so what I've done is I've created this really low, slow hit in the middle of this file. Now, we've lost a little bit of a sense of the original rhythm of this file, but we can retain that because one of the things that we can get that back, I should say, because one of the things that we can do with any bit of audio that's been flex edited is that we can quantize it. So having created these kind of weird mad chops, what I can then do is to put the audio file and move things back to their nearest 16th note, as I have here. Okay, now there are some things about this that are obviously a bit crazy, almost too extreme. But one thing that's nice is the little sort of skip section here that's working at this point. So I'm going to tie this location to where I wanted it to go. Let's just go back and do that again here. And then what I'm going to do is to move this point back a little bit so we've got a slightly less extreme hit. And then let's just make sure that we're re-quantizing to put things back in time where we want them to go again. We get this nice little skip. So what we're getting here with speed effects is this idea that as we create a long stretch, the pitch is going to drop and we're going to get this really sort of dusty, dirty effect. And the moment we're compensating for that by getting into faster sections, the pitch is rising and it all sounds a bit more breakbeaty. So that's kind of interesting. Now, another thing we can do is to swap this out for a different algorithm, which is called Tempophone. Now, this is actually using granular synthesis on this sound to kind of re-sample it in real time. Now, the way that that sounds is best explained by playing you an example. Let's go back to where we were a moment ago and take this individual hit and stretch it out really extremely. I'm going to draw it back so that effectively I'm creating this absolutely monstrous hit at this particular point, almost replacing all of the audio, which is now getting squeezed into a 16th note before it. Now, so far have I stretched it that Logic's kind of offering this little health warning. Do I really want to create such a high-speed section? Well, of course I do, absolutely. So I'm going to press OK, no problem. Let's hear it. Now, at the beginning of this video, I talked about the idea that effectively you can use loops within the loop library as kind of an adventure playground for audio. And instantly when I hear something like this, I think, okay, well, actually, this is a sound designer's dream. If you wanted to create a sound like this, we've got this amazingly gritty, kind of weird, almost, I don't know, it sounds like something out of a Transformers movie. It stopped sounding like a snare drum a long time ago. And if we start thinking about, okay, well, let's see what happens when we make some other changes, creating some high-speed sections further in and some slower ones as well. I'm not thinking about this too hard. I'm just creating a few little warps here and there where they feel like they might make some sense, and we'll end up with some really fast bits and some really slow bits, and we'll have completely reimagined this loop. Yes, Logic, I do want to make these moves that I've created here. So what's really great about that is that now we've still got our little sound design hits, but there are 4 bits here that are now pitched and actually kind of work in a sort of pitched relationship way, out of which I could build a tune. We've got this one, we've got this one, which is a semitone higher, we've got this one, which is a 4th higher, I think, or a 5th maybe, and then there's this one, which is a minor 3rd in the middle. Completely by chance, I've created these little notes that feel like they could work well together. I could now chop this up, separate those bits, and kind of build this weird beat loop, which has got these pitch components to it as well. And that's simply by coming through and using this Tempophone effects process, which is a granular synthesis, sort of resampling of this audio file as we go through in time. So it doesn't really matter which bit of audio you bring in from the Apple Loop library. A great way of understanding how flex editing can work is simply grab anything, drag it in, select one of these 2 algorithms, and just begin to see what happens when you pull audio around, because you can get some amazingly creative results.